So let's look at the second half of Alaska now, so we can see where the turn is, the change. He says, "Girl, you must picture me, clueless, the brand of a steam iron on my dress shirt, the fire left on all night, the kitchen a scrap heap of ring pools and beer cans." So in that one short section, what we do is we learn about, again, how he thinks she sees him, and rather a pathetic figure, clueless. The brand of a steam iron on my dress shirt. You can imagine a man whose wife or partner has left him and who is completely incompetent, who can't iron a shirt without burning it. The brand is the burn mark on the shirt. The fire left on all night because he forgets to turn it off. The kitchen a scrap heap of ring pools and beer cans that really all he's doing is he's drinking all the time because he can't look after himself. So that one short section really suggests that probably that's how she sees him. As far as he's concerned, she probably thinks that he's not coping particularly well, rattling around his palace like a big old bear. Can't really ever look after himself. But then we get something called a turn in the poem, or a volta, V-O-L-T-A. And this is a technique which has been used since sonnets were written, since the traditional poetic form as we know it began. And we know that it's a turn because it says but. But, let me say, girl, the only time I came within a mile of missing you was a rainy Wednesday April hauling in the sheets. She may think, this is him talking, you may think that I've missed you. You may think that I can't look after myself. You may think that I'm rattling around a palace because you've gone and left me. But let me tell you, I've only missed you once, and that's when I had a big sheet and I couldn't get it in on my own because I needed someone to fold it. That's the big king sizer, hauling in the sheets, trying to handle that big king sizer. So the only time I missed you was a practical thing because I couldn't fold the sheet on my own because I needed an extra person. Nothing emotional, purely practical matter that I needed you for. I can look after myself, I'm fine. However, there is a big however here, and we notice at the end of the poem he gives himself away a bit. Girl, you should see yourself with him, out in the snowfield like nodding donkeys, or further west you and him, hand in hand, his and hers, and all this under my nose. Notice the wistfulness that comes into his voice there. It's as if he can't quite help himself. You and him, hand in hand, his and hers. He suddenly realises that she's with another man. So that girl, you should see yourself with him, suddenly becomes a more thoughtful. Hang on a minute. You and him, hand in hand, his and hers. That you are a unit, you're a partnership with somebody else, and that somebody else is no longer me. Under my nose, like the Bering Strait, just a stone's throw away. The Bering Strait is the area of sea between the western tip of Alaska and the northeastern tip of Russia. It's the little bit of sea. So you can imagine that you can see the Bering Strait, you can see the sea. It's a stone's throw away. It's right under his nose, but there's nothing he can do about it because she's left him. So when we look at this poem in more detail, we begin to realise that this is a man who, on the surface, seems to have moved on. He's fine. He's got over it. He doesn't need her. He can cope on his own. So he's only missed her once, but actually we can tell he's fooling himself. He misses her terribly. He's trying to justify the decision that she made by saying, well, whatever, do your own thing, big deal, don't care. But when we get to the end of the poem, there's very short lines, hand in hand, his and hers, and all this under my nose, suggests that he's pulling back and thinking, well, hang on a minute, no, this is, I am on my own. It's just me, and it's them. It's a couple, you and this other man, and I'm no longer part of that. And yet it's right under my nose. I can see it, and that's a pretty terrible place to be.